There is a specific kind of loneliness that nobody prepares you for. It is not the loneliness of being alone in a room. It is the loneliness of having a vision that nobody around you can see yet. It is sitting across from people you love, people who genuinely want good things for you, and watching their faces change when you tell them what you're planning. The slight pause, the careful smile, the "that's interesting" that means "I don't think that's going to work." And you sit there holding something you believe in completely in a room full of people who are trying very hard not to tell you that you're dreaming too big. That feeling, that specific, isolating, quietly devastating feeling is not a sign that you're wrong. It is a sign that you are early. Every single person who built something worth talking about went through a version of that moment. Every founder who became legendary was once just someone with an idea that made people nervous. Every artist whose work now moves millions was once told their voice was too niche, too raw, too much, not enough. Every person who took the leap and actually landed looked completely out of their mind before they did. That is not an accident. That is how it works, because the vision always arrives before the evidence. The belief always has to come before the proof. And in that gap between the vision and the evidence, between the belief and the proof, you are going to look crazy. You are going to look irresponsible. You are going to look like someone who doesn't understand how the world works. And you have a choice in that gap. You can shrink the vision until it becomes something that doesn't frighten anyone, something safe, something sensible, something everyone can get behind, or you can hold it even when it's heavy, even when you're tired, even when the people who love you most are asking you, with genuine concern in their eyes, when you're going to get serious. You can hold it. Because here is the truth that the world does not say loudly enough. Safe is not safe. Playing it small is not a risk-free decision. It is a decision with consequences just as real, just as heavy, just as permanent as any leap you are too afraid to take. The person who never bets on themselves doesn't avoid loss. They just lose it slower. They lose it in increments, in Sunday nights that feel like dread, in Monday mornings that feel like surrender, in years that pass by that all look identical because nothing was risked and so nothing changed. That is not safety. That is just the longer way to end up somewhere you never actually wanted to be. Think about the people you admire most, not the ones who inherited everything, not the ones who got lucky on the first try, the ones who built something real, the ones whose stories you come back to when you need to remember that it is actually possible. Now think about where they started. Think about the version of them that existed before anyone knew their name. That version was rejected. That version was doubted. That version sat in rooms where nobody believed in them and had to find a reason to keep going that had nothing to do with external validation. That version looked irresponsible. That version looked naive. That version looked exactly like what the people around them were afraid of becoming. And that version kept going anyway. Not because they had certainty, nobody has certainty, not because they had a guarantee, there are no guarantees, but because they had something that turned out to be more powerful than either of those things. They had a refusal, a quiet, unshakable, completely unreasonable refusal to accept that the life they could see was not the life they could have. That refusal is not talent. You cannot inherit it. You cannot be taught it in a classroom. You cannot purchase it or stumble into it accidentally. It is a choice, made once and then made again, every single day, in the moments when it would be so much easier to just stop, to go back, to choose the version of your life that everyone else can understand. You have to choose it on the days when the numbers aren't there yet.
You have to choose it on the days when someone you respected tells you it's time to be realistic. You have to choose it on the days when you look at where you are and the distance between here and where you're trying to go feels not like a challenge, but like a joke. On those days especially, you have to choose it. Because the people who make it are not the people who never doubted. They are the people who doubted and kept moving anyway. They are the people who were scared and showed up anyway. They are the people who looked crazy and kept going anyway, right up until the moment they didn't look crazy anymore. And here is what nobody tells you about that moment. It does not feel like vindication. It does not feel like standing on a stage while everyone who doubted you finally understands. It feels quieter than that. It feels like sitting somewhere and realizing that you made it to the other side of the version of yourself that almost didn't try. It feels like gratitude, deep, private, personal gratitude to the version of you that held on when holding on made no sense. That version deserves more credit than they will ever receive, because that version, the one who looked crazy, the one who kept going anyway, the one who refused to shrink the vision just because nobody else could see it yet, that version is the reason you are still in the game. So, if you are in that gap right now, if you are in the space between the vision and the evidence, between the belief in the proof, if you are the person in the room that everyone is quietly worried about, I need you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are early. There is a difference, and the only way to prove it is to keep going. Not for them, for the version of you on the other side of this, the one who will look back at this exact moment, this exact doubt, this exact room full of careful smiles, and feel nothing but grateful that you didn't stop here. Keep going. Bet on yourself again and again and again until the bet pays off or until you find a better way to place it. But never, never fold on yourself just because the table got quiet. The ones who made it never did, and neither will you.